podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast Sunday night edition of the IPL coverage that we're doing through this tournament. We'll be talking about today's match as Mumbai went down again. The banter continues there. We'll be talking about yesterday's match with Royal Challengers Bangalore.
The banter continues there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be talking about this morning, sort of lunchtime match, which was actually quite a good game. So we've got one good game to talk about and two hilarious games. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg. How you doing, Ross?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. I always get a bit annoyed when we've only got 3 games to cover on an IPL weekend. Surely there must be a double header on a Sunday. I just don't understand why there's not one.
Day of rest, isn't it? God's day of rest. And eventually we've been joined by Cameron Ponsonby. How are you doing, Cameron?
I'm very well, thank you. Sorry for the stress caused by myself and my own ineptitudes, but we're here. We made it.
Yeah, Cameron, where'd you leave? Cameron's left his charger at the Canterbury Cricket Ground in Kent, so he's on his mum's computer.
It's very safe. It's just not here, so which is where I'd prefer it to be. So.
As would we. Me and Ross have been making awkward small talk for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah, I've had to pretend that I've known Jack since I was 4 years old. We've had to regale toys. Yeah, it's been very difficult.
Right. Ross, we normally do some messages for the listener. As we've sort of been delaying people who are listening live for so long, should we just talk about the cricket instead and do them later?
Yeah. Yes, we should. We should indeed.
What happened today?
Well, it was I don't even know how to describe it because Mumbai Indians are so annoying to watch right now. But it was the peppermint fish of Lucknow. We're a one-man team with KL Rahul doing what everyone else couldn't. He actually hit the ball to the boundary. It's a dangerous game though because he was on his classic kind of 30 for 30 balls, but he's ended up with 101 of 60 balls, so he can be forgiven, I suppose, if you're a Lucknow fan. And it was much to the debate. It was a match-winning innings. Ultimately, didn't seem it quite at the time, but nobody could seem to bat on either side, really. Manish Pandey looked one of the most accomplished batsmen. He had a strike rate of 100. So you're not really getting much value for your money if you are an IPL fan today. But then Mumbai came out and Rohit Sharma looked all right. He was strutting his stuff, but you were then seeing torturous innings from Ishan Kishan. Shivakumar Yadav looked terrible as well. And it was on the shoulders again of young boy Tilak Verma. I'm going to say young boy, I've said that, but again, I actually don't know if he's like 28. But I think he's about
young.
19.
He's a young boy.
Yeah, I think he's about 19, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, they just had too much to do. They just weren't attacking at all. I'm not sure if it was the pitch, it was good bowling, but there was zero intent other than a couple of big hits, and they were awful. They end up 36 runs short, chasing 168. It was a woeful performance.
Yeah. Good.
Your
summary.
boys though. Though.
Well,
you've got the shirt and everything. I mean,
I think this is of the 2 IPL shirts I own. This one and the Mumbai one. This is my favourite.
Especially today.
Yeah. I guess I could have worn whatever, couldn't I? If Mumbai had won, then I'd be covered on that front too. Ross, we should probably start with the hero of the day, King Legend Rahul, the self-anointed King Legend Rahul. Yep. It was a pretty good innings, I thought. I think I don't know. I think to say that it turned out to be a match-winning innings doesn't quite do the service that it probably deserved. 103 from 62 balls. They only scored 168. He scored 65% of the runs. It's good batting.
It's fine, but there's a bit where in this IPL we have seen teams when they get to kind of 160, 170. Actually, you're up against it. We've had some really good finishes, really strong finishes. In the Mumbai Indians team, as much as they are bereft of any kind of form, they do have Kieran Pollard, who is a pretty decent finisher. And actually, if they only had 1 or 2 of their batsmen who, let's be fair, are very highly paid in this, they are very highly skilled, and they are like mega stars who are just not performing right now. If only one of them bats through this innings, or at least gets to 70, they give themselves a good chance there. But nobody else hit any runs today. So yeah, you have to take your hat off to KL Rahul and be like, do you know what? Actually turned out to be a fantastic innings.
Cameron, Ross hates King Legend. He's
I'm saying all of this with gritted teeth.
It's well documented on this show that he calls him the ball eater. He's designing. I don't know. I'm just going to tell people that this is happening. Ross is designing some bespoke bat stickers that feature King KL Rahul, as a caterpillar eating an apple with ball eater written on, or eating a cricket ball rather, not an apple.
Oh god, those will sell unbelievably. Where can I get one? I want one now. It's fine.
Can you give him some praise that isn't through gritted teeth and acknowledge that this is it's what I'd maybe say, it's not a match winning innings, it's not 130 or something that's completely blitzed the game, but it takes the team from having absolutely no chance of winning if he doesn't get those runs, if he only gets half those runs, to having probably been the favourite at the halfway stage.
Yeah, I think we're a bit through the looking glass here. The guy's got 100 off 60 rocks. Like, it's like, and I do absolutely, because I was having these same questions, and I saw Dan Weston was kind of asked about this on Twitter, like, is this a match winning innings or is this a match losing innings? And you're like, he's got 100. He's literally like, that's the whole point of batting. But I turned on this match about 8 overs into the first innings, and like now we're like 40 for 1 or for 8. They were going out of 5s, and I was like, we're stuffed. This is like game over.
Yeah, that was weird. I look, the beginning bit was strange.
It was really strange. So he's basically gone 30 off 30, then he's gone 70 off 30. And there's the question of, well, are other people batting poorly and because of what he's doing? I think basically this strategy rests on, you have to have the kind of arrogance and or self-confidence.
You've got to call yourself King Legend. Like it's...
Correct, exactly. The only type of person who could go, you know what, I'm going to single-handedly try and win games of cricket. And if I fail, then we all fail. But if I win, we win, hopefully, is someone who'd also call themselves King Legend. Fortunately, there is someone who fills that bracket perfectly at the Lucknow Super Giants, and he's called KL Rahul. I sometimes wonder if we're getting bit too clever if we say, oh, that's a bad innings. How can it be a bad innings? He's got 100. He's gone at 10s across an innings. He's batted up the whole way through. I thought it was strange where he didn't run off the last ball. And that is like kind of nitpicky where you're
average, mate. That's rule 101 of being a batsman.
But it's a consistent character of, this is me. I'm going to be the cliche selfish batter. I'm going to win us the game. And also, I'm the batter. I'm not getting out last ball. You're taking the piss. Like, no chance. And also, he did this about a couple of days against the same opposition. He faced 120 balls of Mumbai Indian bowling. And he scored 200 runs of them. But he obviously just goes, these lot of shit. I'm going to just score all my runs. Don't worry about anyone else. That's the mentality.
I think it was good for the record. As a long term. I mean, I've supported Lucknow Super Giants for as long as they've been in
existence.
Yeah.
Day one.
Do I love King Legend? No, not necessarily. But he is my captain, and I'm prepared to follow Captain King Legend.
I like about is, yes, getting to 100 off 60 rocks, as you say, is great. Any batsman's going away from that game be like, darling, I've had it absolutely fantastic. This has been brilliant. But there is always the what if scenario. And actually, there's a lot of batsmen at the moment who are getting to 30, eating up those balls, and then getting out. And then that is the risk. Yeah. But then you have to take into consideration that sometimes there are elite players, and KL Rahul's probably pushing into that elite category. Him and Josh Buttler are kind of running away with it at the moment. If you are that good,
I will.
Great.
I'm going to come in and knock him down a peg here. Josh Buttler is running away with it. KL Rahul is the next best player in the tournament. Let's not make any comparisons between those two at the moment. I don't think.
I think it's reminding me a bit of the kind of David Milan England conversation that rolled on for years, where Milan, I think if you're in a team that's kind of weak enough, if that makes sense, then you can afford to have one player who sticks the game on their back. Whereas Milan, when he was in my opinion, at least when he was in that batting lineup of England's, we didn't need one person to put the game on their back. you could go, all of you guys just keep going. And so I wouldn't be surprised if what KL Rahul's doing now in another 10 years of 2020 cricket, maybe that role kind of becomes obsolete in that people go, no, we're going 1 through 11, all 20 overs, we're going to bang it. We don't want anyone starting slowly. But for now, I think he's kind of he has to be one of the top guys because he's doing stuff that no one else can do. Like to be able to go 30 off 30, then 70 off 30, I've scored 100 off 60 balls is incredible. But
so I'd actually disagree with that a little bit for 2 reasons. One, one you've sort of addressed. Like he is amazing. Like back-to-back centuries against Mumbai Indians, going at tens. That is great. Being the second best player in the tournament, and he would be, by any statistical measure, the best player in the tournament in a normal year. It's only because Josh Buttler is a freak that conversation's, the conversation that we're laughing that he is the second best player and not the best. I think some of this actually comes down to, and Dan and I were talking about this on Friday night, about the expansion in the league, meaning that different tactics are slightly more usable. When they may not have been last year, when every team was chock full of really good players. Now, because there's a bit of disparity in sort of the talent pool is slightly watered down, you could construct a team, as I think they kind of have done, where you go quite heavy on bowling, you put a lot of resource into your bowling lineup, and you cherry pick sort of 2 or 3 players that are there specifically to carry the game on their back, like Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul, and probably to a slightly lesser extent Marcus Stoinis are the guys they're banking on to like bat most of the way through the innings in every game and then sort of finish it off. Like that's their whole game plan. Now in an ideal world where, or in a world where the talent level is really high across the league, that's a bit stupid because people can get your best guys out. Like there are the concentration of good bowlers is higher, so you don't really have the 4th and 5th player to smash about as he has been sort of doing, and Josh Butler's been doing to some extent. But whilst the 5th and 6th bowler, or the 4th, 5th, 6th bowler, whatever, is there to smash about, KL Rahul, I don't know. I think it is a viable strategy to basically block out the only person that's good enough to get you out and then feast. Like it's what people do in the county championship, isn't it? And all what people say about the county championship is that you can just block out the opening bowler and then like Pie Chucker comes on first change and you make hay. That's I don't necessarily think that is the worst tactic this year. I'm buying KL Rahul. That's what I'm saying.
He's my captain every single time Lucknow play. In fantasy league, I'm top for a reason, and the reason is KL Rahul and Josh Buttler, and that's it. And there's also a bit about rivalries, Jack. So you talk about kind of Josh Buttler being ahead of KL Rahul. I want to see the narrative where we start doing the whole kind of Messi Ronaldo competition and start driving that performance.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. I want to see the orange cap Ballon d'Or thing that kind of goes on, and you start to see levels. And at the moment, Josh Buttler is Messi in this scenario.
Yeah,
KL Rahul's nipping at his heels, kind of like in the Benzema role. I don't know.
So who's Ronaldo?
Yeah, KL Rahul, but yeah, I was trying to.
I thought you were going to throw another name out there. Andre Russell, he could be Ronaldo.
Yeah, okay, fine. Let's talk about some other bits of the cricket because there is a new ball eater in town. His name is Ishan Kishan. The rock star who is very close to my heart. I absolutely love Ishan Kishan. He's been a great person to follow. But the guy is completely out of all sorts. And his dismissal today, Cameron, did you see his dismissal today?
Yeah, it was really funny.
It was great. I've laughed more in a long time watching a game of cricket. For those of you who haven't seen it, he has chased a wide one for the first ball of Ravi Bishnoi. He's under-edged it. He definitely should have left it. It would have been a wide. It's then hit the under-edge of his bat, hit Quinton de Kock's boot, loops up into the hands of first slip, who Jason Holder almost drops it at first slip. Like, almost drops it.
Yeah.
And then there's just like, how the hell am I out to that? So, great.
I was surprised by the trampoline that was in Quinton de Kock's foot. It went so high.
It's the paint the boots, mate. We had David Painter on at the start of the podcast, and now Jack's got a pair, I've got a pair. In the future,
you can get a pair.
Is that a selling point?
Serious cricket.
Is that a selling point for a boot?
Yeah. Of course it is. If you're a wicketkeeper, I'm a wicketkeeper at the moment, part time. if I'm a wicketkeeper, that's adding the opportunity for a dismissal.
I think
That's
if in our cricket, I stand at first slip a lot. I think if someone bowled that ball, that's when I just stop paying attention. Like short, wide, that's not going to come to me. It'll get whacked into your foot, and I'd be like, oh, I've missed it. And you'd have all you would get is a sore foot. He did nearly drop it. I thought that was quite incredible. It was the easiest catch, maybe
of
ever.
the IPL so far, yeah.
Maybe ever. I'm going bigger than that. It's it hasn't come off it's bounced. It's a ball that's bounced. Like it doesn't get any easier than that.
Mm.
Well, I don't think
it was fun. I think you could see in the slow motion. It was nice that you could see. I was actually quite interested watching the replay because I was like, oh, you can see Holder is literally celebrating before he's caught the ball, and then you go, oh, like, oh, he's not caught it. That's why he's dropped it, and then he kind of catches it on the way down. Good fun, but yeah, really like. Ishan Kishan's having a horrible time. It kind of, I was working and had the game on in the background. You just associate time with runs in 2020 cricket. You're just like, oh, Ishan's been there for a while. He must be going okay. Oh, he's out. Oh, he must have got about 30. Oh, he's got 8. He's got 8 off 20 deliveries. And we talk about the kind of ball muncher KL Rahul. Like he was 30 off 30. You're 8 off 20 balls. That's almost 25% of your allocation for the whole entire innings. You're stuffed, you're behind, you're done. Yeah, so pretty horrible experience for him today.
And if you think about this Mumbai team, they pressed the panic button after they lost their first 2 games. Like completely pressed the panic button, and they've got now no game plan. They don't have. We talk about brands of cricket or an identity when you're a team. They've lost that completely now.
It's a pretty clear identity. They're the losers.
Yeah.
They're the whipping boys.
From 8.
No, they're Derby County, circa 2006.
But then it's just a weird thing. Like they brought into baby AB de Villiers, haven't they? In DeWald Brevis, I don't think he should be batting at 3 for this team. Sky should be number 3 every single day of the week. Team David has to be playing in this lineup. Has to be playing, and he's just not. It's baffling. Jack, where am I completely wrong in that assumption?
We talked about this a lot on Friday night. I think they've given up on winning. No, I genuinely do, because it doesn't make any sense what they're doing, does it? It's strange. I mean, they maybe to some extent they gave up before the season started. They spent 8 crore on Archer. He couldn't play. They spent a lot of money on Brevis based on an under-19s 50 over World Cup and 12 matches in the South African T20 franchise league where he wasn't very good. And he has, shown flashes. But like, as we stand here or we sit here talking now, he's a bloke who averages 20 or less than 20, batting 3 for the greatest franchise in IPL history, in T20 history. It doesn't. That isn't a logical move. They spent 8 crore on Tim David. He doesn't come off immediately. So they bench him, and like we never hear from him again. Is he even there still? Maybe he's gone. They dropped Tymal Mills. They say Tymal Mills has got an injury. He says I haven't got an injury. Then he's forced to delete the tweet. It's all kind of the wheels are gone, aren't they? I know they fell off, and I know where wheels go when they fall off. Yeah. Garage.
And maybe that's all right. Maybe there's no way of going like that. They had like a 0.05% chance of coming back into this. They've now lost. They're out of the tournament.
Good.
And now there is a bit. Maybe Cameron. Maybe there is a bit where this is what teams should do more often. Maybe they should be like, we're going to lose this year, but next year, DeWald Brevis is going to be class. Tilak Verma is already class.
I don't think there's any guarantee he will be class. Just because the way people get good at cricket isn't by being forced to play in the IPL when they're 18. Like that's not.
Why not?
That isn't a proven pathway to success. Like there's a whole load of other skills that you need to develop, temperament and ball striking ability, and you can't get out every time someone bowls one that nips away off the seam. Like it's just not. That's not a thing you can do if you want to be successful in T20 cricket or in any cricket actually. But that is what he does. It's fun though, isn't it? It is sort of fun watching it.
I'm quite enjoying that because the whole idea when you see like a league of T20s, you go right. It's high variance cricket, so you see one team who's 5-3 winning and the other team's 3 and 5, and you're like, you know what, they could be quite similar. Like a result could go here on one way or the other. When a team's lost all 8 games, there's a really nice certainty to that, which is like, you guys are bad. We know it. It's fine. But I don't. To Ross's point, is there a point of just losing? Well, no. There's no point in doing that. It's sort of like it's not an American sport where you've got a draft next year in terms of like you order it and we get the first pick next year. Like you're just being rubbish for no particular reason. I do think Brevis will obviously get better because he'll get to play in cricket, which isn't the IPL, for the next 11 of the 12 months that happen. But no, it's all quite strange. But just it feels like they've planned for the future. They went, right, we're going to get Brevis in. We think he's going to be like the next legacy player, old baby AB. We want Archer locked in. But there's no way they intended to sacrifice this much first year, because it's pointless. You're in a 10-team league. You only need to finish 4th, and then you're going all right, and you have a chance to win the whole thing. Finishing 10th and not winning a game, that is entirely pointless.
Yeah, no, it is. I just think it's a hell of a risk they've taken with baby AB, and Archer.
It's because they're not doing the sacrifice.
But they haven't got sacrifice. They need Amalpreet Singh.
Amalpreet Singh needs to come back and bat at number 3 and be their sacrifice. It's working for Gujarat Titans. Vijay Shankar plays. He's a sacrifice, Rick. Anuj Rawat, which is doing it for RCB. It's been working until yesterday.
Yeah, he wasn't the first guy out. That was, I think, the problem. They didn't sacrifice him immediately, and so the cricket gods took Kohli and. Is there anything else we want to say about this game? It wasn't really that close, was it? I was a bit disappointed that Mumbai basically didn't threaten at all, and it still managed to take 4.25 hours.
Yeah, I thought Mohsin Khan looked actually okay. It was bowled quite well for them, and there is something about how they're using Krunal Pandya in this, that they're getting the best out of Krunal Pandya, which I find is baffling. I don't think he's an elite T20 player, but here he's found a home and I think he's just really quite working for this team at the moment.
People are really upset with me in the chat about saying I don't like Devil Brevis.
Well, that's all right, isn't it? It's better than, I think the people saying you hate teenagers. I think it's much better you as a 30-year-old saying that you love children. It's much better you being that you hate children. I think that's a much better position to be in.
Well, all I'm saying about Mumbai, what they're doing is kind of feels in keeping from like the snippets you get into how they see themselves as a brand and as a global brand. So, for instance, they've had Arjun Tendulkar on the books. Like he's not going to be. Like he's played club cricket over in the UK, like playing like a bit of twos. Like he's a good cricketer by normal standards. He's not playing in the IPL, but you have the Tendulkar name in the same way you go, right, we want Jofra Archer. Well, Jofra Archer's obviously different because he's a gun, but it's the same like baby AB shit. Like we want the next legacy. We want all this, everything to look right and sound right and be very kind of commercial. Hence why, do you remember in the Netflix series where the owners explained to him, like, we don't need Hardik and Krunal Pandya. Like, that we really, really don't need both of them. We can have one, and then we can free up a space. And he's like, no, I want the brothers. The brothers, that's what we want. And so we're going to do that because that looks right. It's nice. They're brothers. It's a fun story.
We'll pay any price for Krunal Pandya.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of falls. It's the same continuity. Yeah. So at least there's that where it's not predictable, but I can understand. You can disagree with the logic, but you can also go like, oh, there's a consistent train of thought there.
Yeah, right. We're going to move on to the next match. Just before we do, Serious Cricket are our sponsor. TCP22 for 10% off your equipment. Get some painter shoes. They're extra bouncy for if the ball gets into your foot and somebody's nearby to catch it. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/thecricketpod. Both in the show notes. Click those links. Ross, yesterday, Royal Challengers Bangalore humiliated themselves. Is that enough of a summary, or do you want to give some more information? Any pertinent points to touch upon?
You know when you're a kid and I reckon you're about 4 years old.
Talking about children again, are we? Because I'm getting angry.
And the child goes, I really need the toilet.
Yeah.
This is RCB yesterday, and the mum's just like, you're going to get there in a minute. And then just gives up, pisses itself. That's what happened with RCB yesterday, unfortunately. And I think a bit of context.
That's graphic,
here,
isn't it?
It is very graphic. That is what happened. But I've got a bet on at the moment with two of our listeners that I will wear some Sunrisers Hyderabad gear for the remainder of the year if they make the playoffs. I was really quite quietly confident on Friday in my position. I was just like, I'm going to bank all this money. It's going to be great. I'm not even worried about it because RCB actually looked like a normal team. They actually looked like they were built in the right way. They're a good bowling lineup. They've got enough batsmen in there with a bit of a spine to actually not collapse in this way. And we even had the evidence of the last game where it threatened that they could have collapsed and they didn't. Faf du Plessis batted and got them out of that position. And now they rolled over, had their belly tickled, and it was Sunrisers Hyderabad absolutely schooled them yesterday. It was embarrassing for them.
It's only their second worst performance in the history of the tournament, though, so that's a plus.
Yeah, that is a plus. Yep.
Cameron, I'm going to give you the job of saying something nice about Sunrisers. Are they
Sunrisers or RCB?
Sunrisers, the team that won.
Okay.
The team that won, and in all probability will now win the IPL. May even go down as one of the greatest T20 teams in the history of the sport. What are they getting so right? Is it Kane Williamson's 16 runs or 17 balls? Is that what is the
you got to see the guys home. You got to see him home. I just had a question that come to my head. I just kind of wanted to ask you guys because I'm looking through the table. And we go, Mumbai Indians, we go, oh, they're terrible. CSK, oh, they're rubbish this year. Sunrisers, you go, oh, they're rubbish as well. They're second. There you go, like,
they've won 5 in a row.
I was like, RCB are like the kind of stereotypical laughing stock of the league. Oh, they're fifth. And then like Punjab fell apart. So do you think any of the teams are good or are they all kind of bad?
There's definitely some good teams in this tournament. I think some teams have adapted a little bit better than others to the expansion in the number of teams, or not teams, in the number of players. Some teams have. I think looking through this table, I think Gujarat are quite a good team. They're not amazing, but they are quite a good T20 team. They're a good bowling unit. They've got some good batters. They're dangerous. Rajasthan Royals are an excellent T20 team. Because they have Joss Butler, like that
helps.
Yeah, they've got Messi
and Chahal.
Yeah, Royal Challengers Bangalore are quite a good T20 team. In fact, I'd say go as far as saying maybe they're the most bad. Like conventionally, what we want from what you want from a T20 team: 8 guys that can bat, 6 guys that can bowl, everyone can sort of field. They've got players in all the right sort of roles. I think they're a good team. They just sort of fell apart. Lucknow Super Giants, it's similar to Rajasthan. They're a bit top heavy maybe, but the top heaviness is Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul. It's fine to be top heavy if you like that. I don't even think that KKR and Punjab are necessarily bad. Sunrisers are the kind of the anomaly. They're the Australia of 2021 in this year's IPL, I think. Like, they're doing some things right. They undoubtedly have got a good bowling attack, and they've just bowled RCB out for 68. Like we can't take all agency away from them here. Like Marco Jansen bowled the second over of the match. He takes 3 wickets. And they're good wickets. Are they all caught behind, or caught in the cordon? It's not. He's not a mug. Like he's done exactly what he was supposed to do there. And we've seen Booby do it in other games, and we've seen Natarajan do it in other games. Like they have things that sort of do work. Suchith, the left arm spinner, he's made Washington Sundar even more obsolete than he was. There's absolutely huge glaring holes in what they're doing. Like Kane Williamson is terrible. Like there's no other way of putting it. Like He's probably the worst batter in the tournament based on the stats that we have so far.
Yeah, a number of balls faced kind of thing.
yeah. But around him, they've got a couple of guys that have done okay. Tripatti's been good. Markham's been good. They have been better than I think people.
But in their 5 wins in a row, it seems like a very kind of solid. It's kind of just what you were referring to earlier. Of all right, if we can put the game on some people's back, especially if they have a strong bowling attack. Their last 5 games, they've won by 8 wickets, 8 wickets, 7 wickets, 7 wickets, 9 wickets. take about RCB kind of getting bowled out for 70 kind of debacle. They've chased 150, 160, 170, 150. It seems like a very solid game plan in that respect. We're like, we'll have a bowl.
Well, that is the game plan, though. I think probably, isn't it? It's like, let's have a bowl, and we'll see what happens after that. It's a bit like a Sunday friendly team in England. There are some teams that just always bowl first because they don't really know. Like the game might be over like too quickly if they had to bat because they're terrible. Like us, Ross, for example. But
there is a bit here, Jack.
Yeah.
That when does the luck run out?
Because
winning 7 tosses in a row is unbelievable. That is the odds on that is ridiculous.
Yeah. And as well as you want to bowl, like there is, and you have to, like, even if you're a diehard Sunrisers fan, you have to acknowledge this. It is a freak occurrence to bowl a team out for 68. Like, this is the 15th year of the IPL, Ross? 16th year of the IPL?
Yeah.
So there's 15 times 4. RCB, excluding playoff matches here, have played 210 matches. Is their second lowest score. This is a 1 in 100 occurrence that they've lucked into here. Now you need the right bowlers to do that. Would Odin Smith have taken the wickets that Marco Jansen took? Probably not. So maybe it's not quite 1 in 100. Maybe it's 1 in 50 because you're a better than average bowling team. But it is also like they've completely collapsed. There is, to go back to your metaphor, there's piss running down the legs of RCB.
So Cameron joins us because Cameron's an aspiring cricket journalist, and he's having to deal with us too. I'm so sorry, Cameron.
So there is luck involved. Like they have. I think at this point it's very difficult to say that they are as bad as they were last year, and it looked like after the auction they might be as bad as they were last year. They've been lucky in some areas. They've had a few lucky performances. They've been up against some teams that have had off days. That happens. It's T20 cricket. That happens. I think where they've been really lucky probably is that Bhuvi and Natarajan haven't broken down, and that
it's amazing, right?
That is probably the biggest piece of luck they've had, and it's made a big difference to their season. And fair play.
I'll say it. Yeah, I'm going to say it. They play well. They won 5 in a row. We can't say otherwise, right? We can't turn around now and say this is all based upon luck. Like their bowling unit is really, really good at this point in time. But again, at what point are some of the teams actually going to properly challenge them? That's the annoying bit for me. Like if you look at some of the other teams on paper, and I know competition doesn't played on paper, but here I just get frustrated at looking at the Sunrisers batting lineup, and I'm just a bit like, surely challenge this more, surely.
Well, I mean that
they're not letting them. Fair play.
I think that probably will happen. It's even the best bowling teams have days where they just don't take any early wickets and they get slayed. And if you look at the SRH, their pacers excellent. They don't really have a top quality spinner, I don't think. They may actually have a worse spinner than Mumbai, although Mumbai dropped theirs, so who knows. Sudeep has sent us $4.99 in the super chat, so thank you very much for that. In theory, he says, is the toss and good captaincy worth more or less than a decent top order batsman? Cameron, you can answer that as the guest.
I was going to defer to you straight away.
Well, no, this is like a good thought exercise, isn't it? Now we get to hear how the mind of a great cricket journalist works.
Yeah. How does it work? Great question. Is it worth more than... So we've gone... I feel like I'm on a job interview now where you're like, all right, let's think about this logically. You go, all right, Sunrisers, they've won 7 in a row. They're 5-2. Are they benefiting from spectacular captaincy by restricting teams to 150 to 170? Or do they just have good bowlers? I think in general, I think that the quantitative value of a captain is one of these things that's going to be debated forever and a day, basically. I would say if you had a captain who could correctly call the toss every game, that would be better than having a captain who was the best captain in the world who lost every toss. And I think that's my answer to that question in some way, shape or form.
Go on,
I
Ross.
just want to say as well that last year, so we based all our predictions on the performances of last year. Like we used the evidence that was based, the data that was available, and kind of said, right, we're going to try and predict the future here. Sunrisers, when we are going to learn from MS Dhoni and Owen Morgan, the finalists from last year's view, both terrible seasons from a performance output point of view, right? Dhoni was woeful, so was Morgan with the bat, couldn't buy a run. Yet there they are as winners and runners up. Maybe
Good point,
Sunrisers
Ross.
Hyderabad maybe they took that lesson from
That's a
them
good
and were
point.
just like, we're going to sacrifice our captain to the cricketing gods.
Yeah.
And he's
He
going to
will be
get us to the final.
Yeah. I just, people who are complaining that we're cherry picking about the injury thing, I think it is a point just to, we're not cherry picking. Natarajan's played 4 IPLs and only played more than half the matches once. Bhuvi is always breaking down, or has been over the last 3 years. He was pretty consistent before that, but he has like well documented injury problems, and often when he does play with an injury or the proximity to an injury, he's awful. So I think
like most people would be.
yeah.
Oh, this guy with one leg's not doing very well, is he?
Yeah, all right, fair enough, Ross. But they're having good seasons. I mean, Bhuvi last year played after an injury, averaged 55. Right, economy 8. AE. Not great. But they're doing well this year.
I still think I'm still hopeful and holding on to that bet. I still think that there is a big chance. I think this is a really competitive IPL this year. I think Sunrisers have some things going for them, but I also think these other teams will react over the next kind of couple of games to what they're doing, and you'll see games hopefully become a little bit more challenging for them. And it'd be really interesting to see how well their middle order does. Actually, can they actually really test that middle order or lower order for them?
Can I ask you how confident you are about your $400?
I was an 8 out of 10 on confidence on Friday. Yeah. I'm now a 4 out of 10.
Wow, it's a big.
So it's a big hit. It's a big hit. Well, but just looking at the others, like if you play Mumbai in the next 3 games, the next 4 games, it's a gimme. Like they were so bad. Like you literally just give the victory to the other team now. And then some of the others, like you have no idea which Punjab Kings is going to turn up. KKR are playing lottery with their batting lineup. I have no idea what they're doing. And if you play CSK, unless Dhoni brings some magic, it's all over for them. So yes, so many points on offer for the top 6 teams or top 7 teams. I think it's really exciting.
Can we just briefly laugh at RCB as well? I watched the highlights. So I was at a birthday party yesterday afternoon, so I didn't catch the game live. I had to catch up on it. I had to get the tube from Brixton up to Finsbury Park. What's that on the 25 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I got on the tube just as RCB went out to bat. When I got off the tube, it was like, oh, they're 8 down. Like the whole innings has happened while I've been underground with that reception. On the highlights, the official highlights on the IPL website, there's a 2, like a run 2 that makes the highlights for the RCB innings, like a good shot, and a quick single. Like they had to really scrape the barrel to put that together.
Well, we've not mentioned Kohli. Like back-to-back first ball ducks. Like the guy is Ravi Shastri's come out and said the guy needs a break from cricket. There's all kinds of things going around in the cricket media at the moment around where his head's at, etc. Is it just a case of people saying he wants it too much? I'm not sure what that means in cricket, but what's happening, Cameron? You've tried to solve captaincy. How yeah, and what's going to happen with Kohli? How can Kohli sort himself out?
I think it is calling out for a break now. I think I saw him say in the press, I hope I'm getting this right, that basically there was a period however many years ago where he wouldn't have felt comfortable coming out and saying like I'm shot, basically. Whereas now you're just older, you're more mature, the conversation's moved on. It's following him around so much now. Like it's becoming a kind of joke within itself. Rather than it being like, oh, is this going to be the day he scores his next 100? It's like, is this the day he'll ever score a run again? Like it's changed basically. I saw a stat like he's had 5 first ballers in his like life, or whether it's 2020 forever, and then 2 of them have come in a row. Like the guy's done. And I think anyone who's played, you don't have to have played cricket at an elite level to know what it feels like to score no runs. In fact, people who don't play cricket at an elite level know that feeling very, very well. And it's horrible. And you just go like, well, especially for someone like Kohli, where your self-worth and your reputation and personality, so much is derived from the game. If all of a sudden you're failing and over a long period of time, you're stuffed, man. Like, I think the fact that someone like Stokes and his presence in the game meant that he went, I've had enough here. I'm going to walk away for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Virat just went, guys, can I just give me a bit and I'm going to come back and just be mentally refreshed, because there's no way that it's not like, he'll obviously be in the nets every day working and hammering out and being like, what's this problem that's going on with my game? It won't be a technical fault that's happening with him necessarily, or a problem with cricket, or that every bowler in the world's worked him out. He's shot to bits. What's the best way to solve that problem? If in his opinion is to take a break, then I think that's pretty sensible.
Can you take a break if you're
I think the opposite.
God, well, what do you think the opposite? But
Make him open. Get rid of Anand.
More limelight.
More limelight, more pressure. Like, the guy has been captain of India. Like, you don't get more pressure than that. Like, that is the definition of pressure cooker. Maybe he needs to be given the captaincy back for him to regain his thing.
I wonder if you can even take a break. I mean, I think that I get the sentiment, and I think you're probably right, Cameron. But like, how, if you're Virat Kohli, where do you go to step back the game?
Anyway, just probably leave the country for a little bit. Go out to place country doesn't play cricket. I don't know. Like, you just don't want to. Like, I'm quite enjoying from Ross's analogy of India's captaincy is the definition of a pressure cooker. Like, if we got chicken and like shoved it in the India team, it'd come out like nice and well done.
It would come out as Pierce Chawla.
Oh, nice. That's good. That a bit of rotisserie. But where does he go? I don't know. And also, because he's playing so poorly now, and people are already talking about whether he like deserves a space in the India T20 team. If you walk away, like, are you receding that kind of space in the team? Could you feasibly find yourself out? Look, I think the reason we say, if you're Virat Kohli, is it possible to take a break, is because we can't imagine it happening, as opposed to it not being possible. If the guy rolls his ankle tomorrow and is out for 2 months, we wouldn't go, I can't imagine cricket without Virat Kohli for 2 months. You'd just be like, oh, he's not playing.
No, but what I mean is, like, you know, what's he going to do? Go and live in New York like John Lennon? Hopefully it doesn't end like that.
Oh, God.
It doesn't. Okay.
Jack's assassinated Virat Kohli.
He's had one too many cat beers that he's been drinking. So
they're good, actually. The cat beers, all the cool cats. Where's it from?
Yeah.
What social media strategy?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. So Kohli completely cooked, or the opposite is that he needs more pressure. So you decide, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I can't imagine they drop him. Like, I can see them dropping Anuj. I can't see them dropping Kohli. So we'll see.
Okay.
But it was a freak game. Like, it was just really unfortunate for my position that on this podcast of being a staunch SRH hater, that they happened to come up against RCB the time they decided to piss themselves. So let's talk about something else, like Gujarat.
The good game. We're finally at the good game. We've gone through the banter games and we've made it to the good cricket match. Do you want me to do the summary, Ross? I haven't prepared anything,
yes,
but
please.
I do remember the cricket match. Hold on, let me just get the score sheet up. So Gujarat, they batted first. They got 156 for 9. So they used all of their resources there. Hardik Pandya was the star of the show again. 67 from, I say star of the show, I mean, that's 67 for 49. Now that's the kind of innings where you can go, is that match losing? I think that's kind of acceptable. Turns out no, because they won, but it wasn't a, you know, I still don't know if I like the old Hardik that batted 6 and just tried to hit everything 4-6. I don't like this. It's not what I want. David Miller, second top score, 27 off 20. He's having a pretty good year. Ross, after you slandered him.
He's literally did nothing for 7 years. if anyone's then going, oh, David Miller's going to have a great year this year, like, there's no way he should even be in the IPL. And yet here we are.
Well, he's there and he's doing well. Year of the Yadavs, just Yadav watch. Umesh Yadav picked up 1 wicket. So he's probably slipping out of purple cap contention now. Chahal's up on 18. but it's still been a good year. The other highlight of this innings, I mean, I said it ended 156 for 9. They used all their resources. They started the last over on like 155 or 150. I think it was 150, 151 for 5. And Andre Russell picked up 4 wickets across that over. Mainly, it was a little bit like an old school 90s long ball football team, like Bolton Wanderers or the old Wimbledon. It was Andre Russell comes in, the batter smacks it long, and was it Rinky Singh on the
Rinku Singh,
yeah, taking catches. What did he get for the innings? 4 catches or something like that. It was.
It took 3 identical catches in the deep off in that over. It was just like, lads, what are you like? Try something different.
Pretty fun. Then it became time. Came time. The Kolkata Knight Riders to bat. Didn't last too long for Sam Billings, newly restored to the side. He talks a lot, doesn't he, Sam Billings? That wasn't talking too much after Mohammed Shami saw to him, though. He went for 4. Sunil Narine back. My summary's not as good as Max's, I have to say.
Talks a lot. Where's he talking? I don't know.
Sunil Narine, they're basically the whole order's buggered by Venkatesh Iyer not being very good anymore. So Sunil Narayan's opening again, he wasn't very good either. Shreyas Iyer, he wasn't very good. Nitish Rana, he wasn't very good. Rinku Singh, all right, 35
highest score in the IPL.
Yeah,
yes, highest score in the IPL.
Well done. Aforementioned Venki Iyer, he wasn't very good. And it came down to, I don't know what it is about KKR. Basically, every match comes down to, at one point, Andre Russell having to do everything by himself. Like they never play in a normal cricket match or a cricket match where the top order does something or one of the lower order, apart from that one where Cummins did actually do something. It's basically, here's Andre Russell, will he single-handedly win the match for them? He came pretty close, 48 off 25. It was really good fun. 6 sixes. Not sure he middled any of them until the last one. But Alzari Joseph got him out. And they defended 18 off the final over. It was a good game. It was a good game, Ross.
Yeah, and I think touching upon let's start at KKR's approach, because let's be honest, fucking weird. Like, this is the only way I could possibly do that. At the start of the tournament, they had a bit of a game plan. As much as people would turn around and say Rahane isn't a good T20 player, absolutely fine with that, and he's probably not a good T20 player. But at least they had a bit of plan. They were a conservative cricket team with their batting lineup. Everyone kind of knew what their role was going to be. Here, they are picking names out of a hat like it's a cricket tour game. Like Sam Billings is not an opening T20 batsman. Hasn't really played there for Kent, hasn't played there for England, is a part of the engine room. He should be kind of in that lower middle or kind of 4 to 6 in that space. Narine is a busted flush when it comes to being a pinch hitter at the top of the order in the IPL. It's just not working out anymore. Everyone knows that, bar KKR. And Venki Iyer is being shoehorned into this team where he genuinely can't play cricket at this point in time. He was a star boy last year. This time he can't hit the ball off the square, which is really difficult to see because he was playing really well for India, I thought, in that kind of finisher role. And I can understand them moving him around. But at the moment, as you say, it just seems to end up with, oh, don't worry, Dre's going to do it. That can't be your cricketing strategy. To
go back to the Ronaldo point, that is sort of what teams with Ronaldo have been doing for a decade, isn't it? Like, just let's kick it to him, see what happens. Cameron, KKR, they started the season pretty well, and people were like, oh, this is exciting. They've got Chakravarti in the Rhine, bowling loads of dot balls. Nobody can get them away. They've got Andre Russell. Pat Cummins comes back in and he's amazing with the bat, and then he's so bad with the ball that he gets dropped. Well, basically, I think they used all of their. They need a sacrifice. I think let's go back to the theme of the show. The cricket gods blessed them too heartily with that Pat Cummins innings.
Need a sacrifice.
Yeah, and now they need to sacrifice to somebody or
but
something.
Maybe
Dre Russ. Maybe
you say that. Narine is very much a sacrifice at the top of the order. Like literally, last game, Aaron Finch benefited from the sacrifice theory because he ran out Narine for 0. Like the cricketing gods were so happy there because he hadn't even faced one ball, and yet Finch ends up with a strike rate of 200 and hits a nice 50. I think it here, like the way we have to look at this is that every single time there's a clutch point, in this IPL so far, Almeida Bad Boys seem to come out on the right side of it. They've done unbelievably well, whereas KKR are very much on the decline.
It's an interesting point. Are you a believer in clutch, Cameron?
I'm a believer in clutch. I mean, over the past 45 minutes, I've become a big believer in religious sacrifices. That's
Thank
what
you.
my main beliefs become.
You're very welcome.
I didn't expect it. Look, I don't know, man. Like, it's high variance cricket, just in the same way we've just been wondering how on earth the Sunrisers put together 5 wins in a row. KKR have lost 4 games in a row, and you're trying to put your finger on something in a week's time, and they've both played another couple of fixtures. That can be reversed on its head. Absolutely, I get your point. Where I think it goes to show the power and the kind of ability of Andre Russell as a cricketer, that it almost is a feasible tactic just to be like, well, we've got Dre, so it's fine. Like, we'll just let him do something. Like, he plays the game in a different way than anyone else in the world. Like, I now almost find it normal to look at a scorecard and see he's hit 1, 4, and 6 sixes, and that is nuts. It's fundamentally nuts. He plays a different game to the rest of the world, basically. Look, do I believe in it? No, I think Ross summarised it very well. It seems quite confused thinking at the moment. It's very disappointing, almost upsetting. You go like Venkatesh Iyer, like, it was such a nice story last year when he was doing so well, and you kind of want that to keep going. And you go like, what's the norm and what was the exception? Is this Venkatesh Iyer's norm, and was last year the exception, or kind of inverse? Let's find. I think give us 2 more weeks, and I'll tell you where I think KKR.
That's wise. That's what we should have done. Should never have made any predictions. Just been like, yeah, as we suspected all along, Sunrisers.
What I love about what we've done with the podcast is not only that this is like sponsored by the Passover in the Bible, kind of this is what we've got to go for the theme today. We've built an IPL cricket podcast that might as well be trying to guess the logic behind rolling like 6 dice out of your hand. Like, it's such a high variance, and the teams have got so much quality in each of those different teams that genuinely trying to predict it is, I mean, it's brilliant. I absolutely love trying to make sense of this tangled mess.
Can I bring up something else that we didn't predict?
Yeah.
Chakravarti's rubbish now. What happened to him? He was the best. He was the best last year. 18 wickets, 6.6 economy. Took him to the finals. Played for India at the World Cup. Didn't do that well, but he played for India at the World Cup. This year, 4 wickets in 28 overs, 8.82 economy. They're taking him down. They're taking him downtown, as at least one of the commentators would say. On the IPL.
I've got a theory on this.
Okay, yeah.
And I have plenty of theories this evening, and I'm not sure if everyone's keeping up with all of them.
Who are we killing? Who's gone?
So, yeah, Chakravarti, who's gone? Chakravarti, ever since people started having a go at his fitness, I reckon he's got a bit of a confidence problem around his fitness. And actually, if you just let him eat whatever he wants, and actually he can't pass a bleep test. Can't do things like that. Like Sunil Narine doesn't do any fitness tests. He says, no, I'm just going to bowl. Maybe that's what they need to do with Chakravarti. Maybe
so you're fattening up Chakravarti for the sacrifice. Is what you're saying?
I think he needs a good dose of some motherly love, and that's exactly what he needs.
It's an option, isn't it? I do think. So we didn't really talk. Did we talk about Ishan Kishan in the UAE and how the pitches might not be suiting him because they're actually good cricket wickets and they're not really low and slow, and just maybe what he does doesn't work. I do think there might be something in that for Chakravarti. Like, he's a mystery spinner, and Ross, we talked about this, and which means on wickets where there is assistance, his margin for error is massive because the batters don't really know what he's going to do with the ball. But when the ball doesn't do anything interesting, he's just a slow bowler spraying it all over the place, and that doesn't work. What I would say for Chakravarti, and this might be something that, you know, I'm sure he'll be tuning in later to hear us prognosticate on his IPL career. But I think some of the pitches are starting to turn a little bit. We saw today a reasonably low score defended. compared to some of the ones from earlier in the tournament. Yesterday, or this match that we're talking about, KKR didn't get to a sub 160 score, which wasn't awesome. So maybe we're going to see some more helpful wickets for spinners in the second half of this IPL, and maybe Chakravarti will bounce back. But it doesn't look good for him. I don't think the optics of adding 2.2 to your economy rate from season to season, is fantastic.
Yeah, but you got to have faith. Hopefully, he doesn't have a case of the Kuldeep Yadavs, where it's going to take him a couple of years to get back to it. Hopefully, it's a couple of games and we're going to see it. And as you say, the pitch has become a little bit more beneficial to them. I think we probably need to spend a bit of time talking about the Ahmedabad boys and their entire approach here. So they won the toss, actually chose to bat first, which is a bit of a rarity in this IPL and kind of T20 cricket in general, really, especially in the last kind of couple of years. And actually, it looked like their batting lineup looked how I thought it was going to look. I thought they were quite lucky to end up in kind of the position they were. But Hardik managed to carry it on his back, as what Cameron Stoddard talked about before. But their bowling lineup is brilliant. Hardik is not even bowling in this team now.
Doesn't even field anymore.
Yeah, literally. He comes in, bats, and just sits on the sideline. It's great. Absolute dream performance for him. But their lineup is, I don't know, they're using pace really well. So Alzari Joseph is being used almost like in that enforcer type role, and he's not bowling slowly. I wouldn't say he's express pace, Alzari Joseph, but he's doing that job. You've obviously got Rashid Khan, who, regardless if people start to say he's a bit out of form, the guy is still Rashid Khan. He's still the best T20 spinner in the world, probably other than Yuzi Chahal based upon form at the moment. And then they've got the clarity on role of Shami up front and then Ferguson as another enforcer. I think it's working really quite nicely for them. Cameron, they are a bowling lineup, and I think a theme of the last week or so, or the last kind of couple of weeks of the IPL, is that the bowling teams are outperforming the batting teams at the moment.
It does seem that way. And I also think, as a general rule of teams involving Rashid Khan, this is kind of it's more of a hunch, and I'm sure I've confirmed this with myself just through confirmation bias over the years, but you can always kind of see, especially if it's a team's defending score, how well they're doing by how kind of low down the card you see Rashid Khan. So for instance, in this game here, he was the fifth bowler to come on, and they had the team after 6 overs, it was 34 for 4. And teams do tend to, with Khan, he is the best bowler. So you're like, can we hold him? Can we hold him? Can we hold him? And just let that team get as far behind that game as possible until you play that trump card. But you're right, everything we've spoken about today, whether that be kind of Sunrisers chasing 150, or I can't remember what we were referring to before, but Jack's kind of talk about batters are blocking out the best bowlers, and then they're targeting the rest. And that plays into that, correlates to the idea that if you're a bowling side and you're a strong bowling side and teams aren't able to do that to you, and also will have a slightly weaker batting lineup, that is potentially a kind of shift that's happened. So yeah, I agree.
Lockie Ferguson took a good catch too, didn't he, to get rid of Dre Russ? Just want to, that's one of my notes.
Just want to add 30 seconds to the podcast. Yep.
Just wanted to put that in. Yeah, well, it's on the record, isn't it? You don't want to look. We're preserving the IPL, aren't we?
I don't think anything Lockie Ferguson does counts, because he has number 69 on his back, and I think that's embarrassing for an international cricketer.
No, yeah. I like that. Got a lot of time for it.
It's not stag new, lads. Like, what is going on?
He's got the shit tash. He's got the 69 on his back. Time to go up, mate.
Wears black shoes.
Yeah, has he got Velcro on his shoes? Maybe it's back to the child theme. Who knows?
You don't want to. Who's sending their kid out with 69 on the back of their shirt?
Yeah, it's a tough job with that.
That is a tough job. Yeah.
Boy named Sue, got nothing on the boy with 69 on his shirt, has he?
Anyway,
should we wrap up?
Yeah, I think that is time to wrap. We've had Cameron. Thank you for putting up with the theories, the insights, and whatever else that we've kind of come up with today. And thank you for listening. We are sponsored by Serious Cricket. Go to the website, use code TCP22 for 10% off. Get yourself some painter shoes. Jack has got some arriving. I've got some other gear arriving this week. Finally getting some new cricket gloves, as I think mine had rotted through, which is a nice image for you all. And remember, if you're going to take one thing away from this, is that mothers are really important. Chakravarti's mother, really important. You go and tell your mum that you love her right now. And thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.